Hello, my dear friends. Imagine for a moment a medieval castle, silhouetted against a deep, velvety night sky. Moonlight washes over the cold stone of the battlements, and in a high window, you can just make out the warm, flickering glow of a single candle behind a leaded glass pane. A gentle breeze carries the distant sound of a lute, the last lingering notes from a great hall, now quiet and sleeping. It is the perfect, romantic image of a world long past. But there is another scent on that breeze, something that cuts through the cool night air with a sharp, unwelcome tang. It's a smell you once read about in storybooks. History often forgets to mention that this picturesque world had no plumbing, and the reality of that simple fact is something you, a modern person, would probably not survive for a single day. The truth, as it often is, lies hidden in the shadows, down where the moonlight doesn't dare to shine. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Your support allows me to keep digging up these forgotten corners of the past. Now, find that perfect spot. Settle into your pillows and let the world outside fade away. Let's imagine ourselves in that very castle, under that very same moon, not as a lord or a lady, but as someone far more essential and far less celebrated. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. The night is your kingdom. While the rest of the castle sleeps, wrapped in the illusion of their own importance, you are just beginning your work. You are not a knight, clad in shining steel, your deeds sung by minstrels. There will be no ballads written of your courage, no tapestries woven to commemorate your victories. Your armor is thick, boiled leather, stained almost black with the grime of 1,000 nights just like this one. Your great victories are not won on the battlefield with a sword, but in the dark, forgotten corners of this fortress with a shovel. You are known by many names, none of them flattering. A night man, a Jake's farmer, but the most common title, the one whispered with a mixture of disgust and grudging respect, is Gong farmer. The name itself is a historical jest. Gong is an old, respectable word derived from the Saxon term for to go. It refers to a provy, a litrine, a place one goes, and you are its farmer. You tend to the foulest harvest imaginable, the inevitable, earthy byproduct of every soul living within these stone walls. The stench is your constant companion, the very air you breathe. You've grown so accustomed to it that you barely notice its initial assault anymore, the way a tanner stops noticing the chemical bite of the hides he works. But tonight, as a light rain begins to fall, the dampness seems to awaken the smell, giving it a new, potent life. It clings to the wet air, a thick, sour miasma that seems to coat the back of your throat. Look up at the castle. From here, in the outer bailey, it is a magnificent beast of stone and timber. You can see the great hall, where the lord and his family feasted just hours ago on roasted swan and spiced wine. You can imagine the smell that would have filled the hall, the rich aroma of wood smoke, roasting meat, beeswax from 100 candles, and the faint, sweet perfume of the ladies of the court. Theirs is a world constructed of pleasant sensations, a carefully curated reality designed to reinforce their elevated status. They believe their lives are as pristine as the white linen on their tables. That belief is a fragile lie, and you are its keeper. Your job is to maintain the illusion by confronting the one truth they cannot escape, their own biology. Every drop of wine they drank, every morsel of swan they consumed, ends its journey in a dark, stone-lined pit. And it is your solemn, nightly duty to venture into those pits and remove the evidence. Are the great equalizer, the silent philosopher of filth who knows that the king's waste smells no different from a stable boy's. This knowledge is a strange and heavy kind of power. While they dream of chivalry and honour, you are dealing with the messy, unglamorous foundation upon which their entire society is built. You are not a warrior, but you are a veteran of a different kind of war and nightly battle against the relentless tide of human existence. The moonlight is not a romantic backdrop for you, it is a necessary tool, illuminating the treacherous, slick cobblestones and helping you avoid the worst of the puddles. The castle is not a symbol of noble power, it is a complex map of cesspits and garderobe chutes, a geography of filth that only you and your fellow Gong farmers truly understand. You are a knight of the night soil, a guardian of public health in an age that doesn't even have a name for the concept. You protect them from the diseases that fester in their own waste, and, in return, they hold their noses and walk a little faster when you pass by in the daylight. The silence of the castle is profound, broken only by the sigh of the wind and the distant cry of an owl. It's a peaceful sound, but it's a borrowed piece. You know that beneath this quiet fade, in the hidden shafts and subterranean vaults, a silent, stinking horror is accumulating, and you are the only one willing to face it. You flex your hands, your calloused fingers gripping the smooth, worn wood of the shovel resting on your shoulder. It is more than just a tool, it is a part of you, as familiar as your own arm, and it carries the same permanent, lingering perfume of your trade. Your grip tightens on that shovel. Other artisans in this castle take pride in their tools, their instruments of creation. The blacksmith has hammers with heads polished smooth from shaping hot iron into graceful hinges and fearsome sword blades. The woodcarver has a collection of chisels, each one honed to a razor's edge, capable of coaxing a saint's face from a block of oak. Even the scribe in his chilly scriptorium has his cherished quills and knives, his pots of ink and burnishes for gold leaf. Their tools are extensions of their artistry, objects of beauty that create more beauty. They are kept clean, sharp, and revered. Your tools are extensions of something else entirely. They are your interface with the abyss. Let's look at your arsenal, this small collection of humble, foul implements that define your existence. They are not beautiful. They are not revered. But they are yours, and in their own grotesque way, they are perfect for their purpose. The shovel you hold is not the long-handled spade a gardener would use to turn soft, clean earth. Yours is shorter, with a broader, scooped head. It's designed for close, claustrophobic work, for lifting, not just digging. The wooden handle, worn smooth by your hands and the hands of the Gong farmer before you, is no longer the colour of ash or oak. It is a deep, mottled brown, stained with things that defy description. The wood grain itself is a repository of past nights, a library of filth. If you were to snap it in two, you suspect the stench would be locked deep inside the very heart of the wood. The iron of the shovel's head is not bright and sharp, it's pitted and permanently discoloured, corroded by the acidic nature of the material it endlessly lifts. It never truly gets clean. You can scrape it, you can rinse it, but the smell has become part of the metal itself, a phantom that rises with a particular pungency in the damp night air. Next to you rests a pair of buckets. They are your constant, heavy companions. They are made of thick oak staves, bound with 3 bands of rust-pitted iron. Like your shovel, they have lost their original identity. They are no longer vessels of wood and metal. They are something new, a composite material of oak and perpetual filth. The wood is saturated, swollen with moisture it can never release. When empty, they are already heavy. When full, they are a gut-wrenching, back-straining burden. Lifting one is an exercise in controlled strength, a careful ballot to avoid a disastrous slosh. The insides are coated with a permanent, slick film that never dries. You know from bitter experience that even the smallest splash on your leather tunic will announce your presence for days. These buckets are the cups from which the castle's foulness drinks. And then there is the ladder. It leans against the wall, a simple, skeletal thing of about 10 rungs. It looks fragile, almost comical, but it is the bridge between your world and the one below. Each rung is polished slick not from use, but from the residue of your boots. To descend this ladder into a cesspit is an act of faith and sheer nerve. You must trust that the wood, softened by constant exposure to damp and decay, will hold your weight. You must trust that your grip, even through thick leather gloves, will not slip on the greasy rungs. With each step down, the smell blossoms, growing from a background nuisance into an overwhelming, physical presence that makes your eyes water and your stomach churn. The air grows thick and warm, a pocket of trapped fermentation. The ladder is your gateway to a man-made hell. Finally, there is your cart, waiting patiently by the outer gate, tethered to a horse that seems to share your gloomy disposition. The cart is little more than a large wooden box on 2 wheels, but it is the centerpiece of your operation. It is, in effect, a mobile cesspit. It is never, ever clean. The wood is black and warped, and the stench that emanates from it is a landmark. People in the town a quarter-mile away can tell which way the wind is blowing by whether or not they can smell your cart. It is the vessel that carries the castle's secrets away, trundling through the sleeping streets in the legally mandated hours of darkness. The creak of its axle is a sound of dread for any light sleepers, a reminder of the reality they pay you so handsomely to forget. These are not tools of creation, they are instruments of removal. Their crudeness is their genius. There is no sense in carving an intricate design into a shovel handle that will be caked in filth moments into its working life. There is no logic in polishing the brass fittings on a car that serves as a container for human waste. Their design is born of brutal, smelly practicality. They are built to endure, to be saturated, to be foul, and to be strong enough for the appalling task at hand. They are a mirror of your own social standing, absolutely essential, but fundamentally unclean. As you gather them now, the combined weight feels familiar on your shoulders and in your hands. The shovel, the buckets, the lantern, they feel less like tools you are carrying and more like a part of your own body. You are the man, and these are your foul, prosthetic limbs, allowing you to reach into the dark and pull the castle's waking nightmare out into the moonlight. With your foul implements gathered, you begin to move. You do not walk towards the grand gates or the impressive keep. Your path takes you along the shadowed edges of the bailey, hudding the cold stone of the curtain wall. You move with a quiet, practiced confidence, a master of your own dark domain. While the lord of the castle knows the path from his bedchamber to the throne room, you know the castle in a way he never will. You possess a secret map, a counter-geography etched not on parchment, but in your muscle memory and your sense of smell. His map is one of power and prestige, the great hall, the chapel, the solar. Yours is a map of shame and necessity, the network of privies, drains and cesspits that underpins his entire world. Your first destination tonight is the garderobe chute for the main barracks. Garderobes are the height of medieval sanitary luxury, a small room or closet with a simple hole in a stone or wooden bench, opening directly into a shaft in the castle's outer wall. From the outside, all one sees is a small, dark opening high up on the massive stone face. It looks like a defensive feature, perhaps a place for an archer. For the nobles, this is the glamorous illusion. Waste simply vanishes. They sit, they stand, and the problem is gone, whisked away by gravity. They don't have to think about it. It's clean, efficient, and out of sight, out of mind. You, however, know the shocking reality of where it goes. The shaft doesn't lead to some magical void. It leads down to a stinking pile at the base of the castle wall, often directly into the moat, but in this case, into a purpose-built stone receptacle that is your responsibility. As you approach, the general miasma of your profession sharpens into a specific, acrid stench. This is the waste of the garrison soldiers. You can almost read their diet in the smell of heavy, sour odour from cheap ale, dark bread, and pottage. There's a uniformity to it, a lack of the rich, spicy notes you'll find later at the Lord's private privy. You place your lantern on a steady stone, its flickering light casting monstrous, dancing shadows against the wall. The pile is high tonight. You get to work, your shoal sinking with a sickening, wet sound into the mass. This is the easy part of the job, relatively speaking. It's out in the open air, and while the stench is formidable, it's not confined. You work with a steady rhythm, scooping and depositing the heavy sludge into your oaken buckets. Each bucket filled is a small victory, another piece of the illusion maintained for the sleeping soldiers above. They dream of battle and glory, blissfully unaware that you are down here, single-handedly preventing the ground beneath their feet from becoming a festering, disease-ridden quagmire. You are, in a very real sense, protecting them from an enemy far more deadly than any army with swords and spears, pestilence. Once the barracks garderobe is cleared, you move on, following your foul and secret map. Your next stop is a different challenge. It's a privy built for the castle's staff cooks, the scullions, the maids. It's not a grand garderobe chute, but a simple outhouse, a jakes built over a deep, stone-lined pit in a forgotten corner near the kitchens. Here, the glamorous illusion is thinner. The staff knows what lies beneath the wooden seat. They just don't have to deal with it. That's your job. That's why you exist. This requires the ladder. You have the heavy wooden cover off the pit, and the released stench hits you like a physical blow. It's warmer than the night air, a thick, suffocating wave of decomposition. This is where the true danger of your job lies. You hold the lantern over the opening, and its light seems to be swallowed by the darkness. You can't see the bottom. You can only hear a faint, wet bubbling. You secure your ladder, take a deep breath of the comparatively fresh night air, and begin your descent. With each rung you take, the world above disappears. The sounds of the wind and the distant owl are replaced by the close, intimate sounds of the pit. The air becomes thick, heavy, and difficult to breathe. This is the reality behind their convenience. The why of your job becomes terrifyingly clear down here. Without you, this pit would overflow. It would seep into the ground, poisoning the castle's very well from which the cooks draw water for the Lord's soup. The miasma, the foul air that they so rightly feared, would rise and spread, carrying sickness. They believed that bad smells literally caused disease. While their theory was wrong, their conclusion was right. The stench was a sign of danger, and you are the one paid to descend into the heart of that danger and carry it away. You are the sole explorer of the castle's underworld, the unsung navigator of its stinking, secret geography, ensuring that the map of power above remains pristine and untroubled by the foul truths churning just beneath the surface. Down in the pit, the air is a physical entity. It's warm, thick, and clings to you. You try to breathe shallowly through your mouth, but the taste is almost worse than the smell. Your lantern, hanging from a hook on the ladder, casts a feeble, yellow glow on the slick, dark walls around you. It's a world away from the moonlit Bailey. Up there, in the Lord's Solar, the air is being actively managed, curated for pleasure and health. This is the era of pomanders and scented gloves, a world obsessed with the idea of miasma, belief that diseases like the plague are caused by bad air, foul-smelling vapours that rise from decaying matter and swamps. The glamorous illusion of the noble life is steeped in this belief. A lord or lady would never be seen in public without a personal defence against the ever-present threat of miasma. Imagine the lady of the castle. The chambers are a fortress of fragrance. The floor is strewn with sweet-smelling herbs like meadows wheat and lavender, crushed underfoot to release their clean, floral scent. In a corner, a silver censer smoulders with expensive incense, frankincense and myrrh, imported at great cost from distant lands. When she walks the corridors, she carries a pomander, a beautiful, perforated sphere of silver or gold, filled with a hard paste of ambergris, musk and civet. These are not just perfumes as we would understand them. They are medicinal shields. The powerful, animalic scents are believed to be so potent that they physically push away the weaker, disease-carrying stenches of the common whirl. Her gloves are perfumed, her handkerchief is doused in rosewater. Her entire existence is an expensive, fragrant bubble designed to keep the harsh, smelly reality of the world at bay. And then there is you. You are the shocking reality. You are standing waist-deep in the very source of the miasma they so fear. The air you are breathing is the physical embodiment of their terror. It is the bad air, the corrupt vapour, the stuff of nightmares. Your presence here is the ultimate paradox. You are paid to remove the thing they believe will kill them, a task which requires you to immerse yourself in it completely. You are their miasma eater, their sin eater of smell. The why behind their fragrant fortifications makes perfect sense when you are standing in a cesspit. Their fear wasn't irrational. It was a desperate attempt to control an invisible, terrifying force. They didn't have germ theory. They couldn't see the bacteria and viruses festering in the filth. All they had was their senses, and their noses told them that decay and death smelled bad. Therefore, they reasoned, the smell itself must be the carrier of death. To them, the stench isn't a symptom of the problem. It is the problem. And so, the wealthy build their aromatic walls, believing that if they can block the smell, they can block the disease. A good, strong perfume wasn't a luxury, it was a piece of personal protective equipment. As you begin the laborious work of filling a bucket, the contrast is almost comical. You hoist the heavy, dripping container up, rung by rung, to your assistant waiting at the top. He will haul it to the cart, while you remain in the pit. Down here, there is no lavender, no rosewater. The smells are primal, honest, and terrifying. You are inhaling the very essence of what the pomander is designed to repel. You are a living, breathing counter-argument to their entire worldview. They believe wealth and perfume can save them, but you know that without your shovel and bucket, their fragrant bubble would eventually be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of reality. Their pomanders would be like trying to hold back a flood with a teacup. You can almost picture the castle's physician, a learned man in a fur-trimmed robe, advising the lord to burn juniper branches to purify the air in his chambers after a servant falls ill. It's a performance of control, a ritual to combat the unseen enemy. They are fighting the smell. You, on the other hand, are fighting the source. They are casting spells of perfume while you are engaged in grimy, physical warfare. Every bucket you lift and remove is a more effective act of public health than 1,000 swinging censers. They just don't know it. They think you're just taking away an unpleasantness, a social inconvenience. They pay you to remove the foul odor so they don't have to smell it. You know you are removing the foulness itself so they don't have to die from it. You are the stinking, unacknowledged foundation of their sweet-smelling, miasma-free lives. You are the dirty secret that allows their perfumed illusion to exist, one bucket at a time. The air in the pit grows heavier with every breath you take. It is a tangible weight in your lungs. The flame in your lantern, your only companion in this suffocating darkness, seems to understand. It sputters, shrinking for a moment into a tiny blue bead before flaring up again, yellow and smoky. This is the first sign of the most insidious danger of your trade, a peril far more immediate than any disease. They call it foul damp or choke damp, a mysterious poison in the air that can snuff out a candle flame and a man's life with equal, silent efficiency. The glamorous illusion of the castle is that it is the ultimate bastion of safety. Its thick stone walls are designed to repel armies. Its portcullis can slam shut to stop a cavalry charge. Its battlements are manned by guards who scan the horizon for any hint of an external threat. The Lord and his family sleep under the blanket of this security, believing themselves to be utterly protected from harm. Their fears are of siege engines, of assassins' daggers, of political betrayal, grand, dramatic dangers worthy of their station. The shocking reality, which you are currently breathing, is that one of the most lethal places in the entire fortress is this meticulously constructed, stone-lined pit. The danger is not from without, but from within. The very process of decay that creates the stench also creates this invisible killer. You know nothing of methane or hydrogen sulfide, of course. Those words won't be spoken for centuries, but you know their effects. You have heard the stories, cautionary tales whispered between Gong farmers, men who descended a ladder and never came back up. Men who were found hours later, slumped at the bottom of a pit, with no mark on their bodies, their faces peaceful, as if they had simply fallen asleep. They weren't attacked. They were simply made by the air itself. And so, you watch the flame. It is your sentinel, your early warning. As long as it burns yellow and bright, you are relatively safe. If it begins to waver, to turn blue and dance weakly, it is a desperate signal to retreat, to scramble up the slick ladder into the clean night air before your own lungs forget how to work. This is those. Why of your caution? It's not a vague fear of miasma. It's the practical, learned experience that a place can smell bad and be merely unpleasant, or it can smell bad and be actively trying to kill you. There is no science to it, only a terrifying, life or death apprenticeship. This is not the only peril of the privy plunge. The other is more visceral, a fear that claws at the back of your mind with every movement. The ladder's rungs are slick with a greasy film. Your boots, caked in muck, offer little purchase. The single slip, a moment of lost balance, is all it would take. To fall into this would not be like falling into water. There would be no clean splash, no chance to tread water or swim for the side. You would plunge into a thick, clinging morass that would suck you down. The sheer weight of your heavy leather clothes, now saturated, would become a leaden shroud, pulling you under. It would fill your mouth, your nose, your eyes. Drowning is a terrible death, but to drown in this concentrated filth of 1,000 strangers is a horror beyond imagination. It is the most ignoble end a person could suffer, a foul baptism into oblivion. You remember a man named Thomas from a neighbouring borough, a fellow Gong farmer. He went to clear a pit beneath a wealthy merchant's house and never returned. When his partner grew worried, he peered down into the darkness and saw only Thomas' woolen cap floating on the surface of the sludge. It took them half a day, using long poles with hooks, to recover the body. The story serves as a constant, grim reminder the pit is always hungry. Every move you make is deliberate. When you bend to fill a bucket, you brace yourself against the cold, slimy stone wall. When you pass the full bucket up to your partner, you ensure your footing is certain before you release its weight. You are acutely aware of the physics of your situation, of gravity, of friction, of the sheer, awful density of the substance you are standing in. The Lord in his bed fears a clean death on the battlefield, a sword through the heart. He would never, in his most fevered nightmares, be able to conceive of a death like this, suffocated by the unseen breath of his own castle's bowels. His concept of danger is tied to honor and violence. Yours is a lonely, silent struggle against physics and chemistry in a lightless hole. Your greatest victory, night after night, is not slaying a dragon, but simply climbing back up that ladder, gasping into the cool, clean air of the world above. It is the victory of simple survival, a triumph no one else will ever see or celebrate. Climbing out of the pit is a rebirth. You emerge gasping, blinking in the cool night air as if seeing the moon for the first time. The stench of the pit still clings to you, a heavy, suffocating shroud, but out here it feels different. It's no longer the all-consuming atmosphere of the abyss, but a personal aura that you now carry with you. You have survived the physical dangers of this plunge, the threat of asphyxiation, and the horror of a filthy drowning. But now you must face a different kind of peril, one that follows you out of the pit and into the world of men, the social stench. The glamorous illusion of medieval society is one of community and clear-cut belonging. The church bells ring, calling everyone to mass, from the lord to the lowest stable hand. The marketplace is a vibrant hub of interaction, where the baker's wife gossips with the weaver and the blacksmith's apprentice jokes with the maids. Holidays and feast days bring everyone together in shared celebration. It's a world portrayed in tapestries as a woven whole, each person a thread in a grand, interconnected design. Everyone has their place, and that place provides identity and community. The shocking reality for you is that your place is one of profound and suffocating isolation. Your essential, life-saving role paradoxically makes you a pariah. The very stench that you are paid to remove becomes a part of you, a second, invisible skin that repels the very people you protect. As you and your partner haul the full buckets to the cart, you are a two-man island of revulsion. If a castle guard on his nightly rounds happens upon your path, he will not greet you. He will avert his eyes, perhaps press a cloth to his nose, and give you the widest possible berth, his footsteps quickening on the cobblestones. You are not a person to him in that moment. You are a walking embodiment of filth, a mobile miasma. This is the central irony of your existence. You are a guardian of public health, yet you are treated as a source of contagion. You prevent the spread of disease, yet people shrink from you as if you are the plague itself. The why of this social ostracism is rooted in the same fear of miasma we explored earlier. If bad smells cause disease, then you, the man who smells the worst, must be the most dangerous man in the castle. It is a simple, terrifying, and deeply flawed logic. They see you not as the cure, but as the carrier. Your life is a landscape of empty spaces. In the daylight hours, when you are not working, the stench does not simply wash away. It lives in your skin, in your hair, under your fingernails. It has permeated the very fabric of your house, the straw in your mattress, the wood of your table. When you walk to the market to spend your hard-earned wages, a space magically clears around you. Conversations falter. People turn away. Mothers pull their children closer, whispering warnings. You are treated with a mixture of fear and disgust that is reserved for lepers and cursed men. You can see the conflict in their eyes. They need you. They are perhaps even grateful for the service you provide in the abstract, but they cannot overcome their visceral, physical repulsion to your presence. Friendship is a luxury you can scarcely afford. To share a pint of ale with another man at the tavern is an exercise in humiliation. No one will sit at your table. The tavern keeper serves you quickly, eager to have your money, but more eager to have you gone. Romance is an even more distant dream. What woman would choose a life steeped in such a permanent, unshakable odor? Your isolation is the price of your profession. You and your fellow Gong farmers form a small, tight-knit community of your own, a fraternity of the fowl. You are the only ones who do not shrink from each other's presence. You can share a meal, a drink, a joke, without the cloud of revulsion hanging between you. You understand the shared burden, the silent toll of the work. But this community is a bubble, an enclosed world of outcasts. It is a comfort, but it is also a constant reminder of your separation from the wider world. You are a necessary gear in the great machine of the castle, but you are a gear that must remain hidden, unheard, and perpetually unsmelled. You keep the community healthy, and in return, the community casts you out. This is the cruelest cut of all. Not the physical filth that grinds you down, but the gnawing loneliness that comes with being forever defined and forever rejected by the stench of your own vital labour. The heavy buckets are finally empty, their contents tipped into the waiting cart. You slide the massive wooden lid shut, a final act that contains the immediate olfactory assault, though a phantom stench continues to radiate from the wood. You and your partner begin the slow, creaking journey towards the castle's postern gate. The work is hard, the isolation is profound, and the disgust you face is a daily burden. And yet, there is a secret comfort you carry, a heavy, metallic secret that jingles softly in a leather pouch tied to your belt. The glamorous illusion of the medieval world is that wealth and status are one and the same. The lord of the castle is rich because he is a lord. His wealth is displayed in the finery of his clothes, the quality of his horses, the number of knights he can field. A merchant's wealth is visible in his large house on the main square. A peasant's poverty is written on his face and in the simple tunic on his back. In this rigid hierarchy, social standing and financial success are supposed to be inextricably linked. A man of low station is expected to be a man of low means. The shocking reality, and your own personal secret, is that you are surprisingly well paid. The contents of that leather pouch would make a stonemason or a blacksmith deeply envious. Gong farming is not just a job, it is a highly specialized, deeply unpleasant, and dangerous trade. And for that combination of factors, you command a premium. The lord of the castle, for all his disgust, understands that this is a job few men are willing or able to do. He cannot command a soldier to do it. That would be beneath a man's honor, and would risk rebellion in the ranks. He cannot force a common laborer to do it without paying a significant price. And so, he pays. He pays you handsomely to make his problem disappear. This is the why of your surprising riches. It's a simple, timeless economic principle, supply and demand. The supply of men willing to descend into pits of human filth for a living is, unsurprisingly, very low. The demand for the service, however, is absolute. It is not a luxury, it is a necessity for the health and functioning of the castle. This gives you, the social outcast, a strange and potent form of leverage. You can name a price that would seem outrageous for any other form of manual labour, and they have little choice but to pay it. Your daily rate can be several times that of a skilled craftsman. This creates a bizarre tension in your life, a stark contrast between your social status and your financial reality. You live as an untouchable, but you might eat better than the guards who shun you. You wear coarse, stinking leather for your work, but on your one day of rest, you could, if you chose, afford a finer wool tunic than the one worn by the merchant, who holds his nose when you enter his shop. Your house on the edge of town may be isolated, but it is your own. You are not a serf, tied to the land and the whims of a lord. You are, in your own strange way, an independent contractor, a master of a foul but lucrative craft. The coins in your pouch feel heavy with this contradiction. Each one represents a bucket hauled, a moment of breath-held terror in a pit, an hour spent enduring the revulsion of others. The money is a balm, but it can never quite heal the wound of your ostracism. It allows you to provide for your family, if you have one, in a way that many respectable folk cannot. It ensures you will not starve, but it cannot buy you a seat at the tavern table. It cannot buy you a friendly nod in the street. It cannot erase the invisible wall of stench that surrounds you. Sometimes you empty the pouch in the privacy of your small home, letting the silver coins tumble onto your rough wooden table. They catch the candlelight, shining and clean. They are completely free of the filth from which they were earned. In these quiet moments, you are confronted with the strange duality of your existence. You are simultaneously reviled and rewarded. You are the lowest of the low, yet in your pocket, you carry a prosperity that many of your social betters will never know. It is a lonely, stinking, but strangely profitable life. The world has decided that your work is disgusting, but it has also decided that it is worth a great deal. And as you tie up your pouch and prepare for the next leg of your nightly journey, that heavy, metallic weight against your hip is a constant, cold reminder of your paradoxical place in the world. You guide the complaining cart out of the castle's small side gate and into the sleeping town. The air here changes. The clean, cold smell of stone and damp earth is replaced by a more complex bouquet of odours. The narrow, unpaved street is a channel of filth in its own right, littered with animal droppings, discarded refuse from the houses, and the contents of chamber pots emptied from upper-story windows with a cursory cry of Gardarloo. The castle, for all its hidden cesspits, is a model of sanitation compared to this. Here, the glamorous illusion is the very idea of a bustling, charming medieval town. We imagine cobblestone streets, cheerful shop signs, and rosy-cheeked merchants hawking their wares. It's a vision of quaint, rustic order. The shocking reality, which you are now trundling through, is a miasma of communal living without communal infrastructure. The stench from your cart, so potent and singular within the castle walls, now merely adds a bass note to an existing symphony of smells. The bakery, even cold and dark, leaks a faint, sour scent of stale yeast. The tannery, further down the street, exudes a chemical bite that stings the nostrils even at this distance. The butcher's shop contributes the iron-rich smell of old blood. The town is a living, breathing, and excreting organism, and you are its night physician on your way to its most critical organ. Your destination is the heart of the town's public life, which by night becomes the nadir of its private functions, the marketplace. By day, this square is a riot of colour and sound, filled with stalls selling everything from fresh eggs to Flemish cloth. It's the centre of commerce and gossip, the place where the community performs its own vibrant existence. But beneath the packed earth of the square lies a secret that makes the castle's garderobe seem quaint. You are headed for the great town cesspit. Unlike the castle's relatively private pits, this is a communal resource, a vast, subterranean cavern of brick and stone into which dozens of nearby privies and drains empty. It is a collective repository for the waste of half the town. It is an unseen, unacknowledged monument to their shared biology. The why of this system is brutal pragmatism. With houses packed so closely together, individual pits are an impossibility. The town's solution was to centralize the problem, to create one massive holding tank that could be emptied periodically. And you, of course, are that period. You and your partner have at the immense iron ring set into a huge flagstone in a quiet corner of the square. With a groan of protest, the stone scrapes aside, revealing a square of perfect, impenetrable blackness. The sheer scale of the exhalation from this pit dwarfs what you experienced in the castle. It's not just the waste of a few hundred soldiers and nobles, it's the accumulated filth of thousands of people. It's a broader, more complex smell waste of the poor mixed with the waste of the wealthy merchants whose grand houses border the square. It's a great equalizer, a liquid democracy of digestion. The work here is different. It's less about claustrophobic descent and more about industrial scale removal. You and your team for a job this large requires more than just two. Men set up a winch and a larger bucket, a monstrous thing that can hold the contents of 10 of your smaller ones. The process is a slow, grueling rhythm of lowering, filling, and hoisting. The winch creaks and strains under the weight. Each time the giant bucket emerges from the depths, dripping its foulness back into the pit, the smell washes over you in you. The night, you notice something in the stench. A sharper, more watery note. A smell you've come to associate with sickness, with the bloody flux. You make a mental note of it. This pit is a barometer of the town's health, a subject you understand far more intimately than the physician with his books and theories of humours. You work under the faint light of the stars and your few lanterns, a small, grimy island of industry in the silent square. In just a few hours, this space will be transformed. The stone will be replaced, perhaps with a hasty rinse of a bucket of water. The merchants will set up their stalls directly over this, festering abyss. People will haggle over the price of cheese, their children will chase stray dogs, and young lovers will steal glances, all of them blissfully, willfully ignorant of the sheer volume of horror lurking just a few feet beneath their shoes. They stand on a thin crust of earth and stone, separating their charming, orderly world from a chaotic, stinking underworld of your acquaintance. Your job is to ensure that crust holds, that the underworld does not breach the surface and swallow their pretty illusion whole. The cart is full now, groaning under the immense weight of its liquid cargo. The lid is secured, but it is a token gesture. A thick, noxious aura travels with you, announcing your passage long before the first creak of the axle is heard. Your journey is not yet over. You have collected the castle's secrets and the town's collective shame, but it must go somewhere. The final act of your nightly ritual is the disposal, a journey to the place where all things are, eventually forgotten. The glamorous illusion here is one of nature itself. We picture the medieval landscape as a pristine, untouched wilderness. Crystal-clear rivers wind through lush green meadows, their waters teeming with salmon and trout. The traveller could kneel at the bank and drink deeply from the cool, pure water. The forest is an enchanted place of dappled sunlight, and the natural world is a beautiful, unsullied backdrop to the human drama of the age. This is the world of romance, the pastoral ideal. The shocking reality is that the nearest river, your ultimate destination, serves as the town's flushing system. You guide your heavy cart along a muddy, rutted track leading away from the town, towards the dark, shimmering line of water visible in the moonlight. This river is not a pristine waterway. It is the final destination for every form of waste the town can produce. Upstream, tanners wash their hides, sending a chemical cocktail of lime and animal filth into the current. Butchers discard offal and blood, which swirl in crimson clouds before dissipating. The Dyers Guild, just a mile from the town, releases vats of coloured water, staining the river unnatural shades of yellow or red. The river is not a pure source of life. It is a hard-working, overburdened sewer, and you are about to give it its biggest nightly dose. You position the cart at a specific spot on the riverbank, a place where the current is swift and deep. This is not a random dumping. The why behind this act is a belief in the purifying power of running water. To the medieval mind, a stagnant pond or a swamp-bred disease was a source of miasma, but a moving river was seen as self-cleaning. The current, they believed, would simply carry the filth away, diluting it to nothingness, washing it out to the great, mysterious sea. It was a simple, elegant, and profoundly flawed solution to the problem of waste disposal. They were, in essence, just making it someone else's problem the problem of the village or town a few miles downstream. With your partner, you unlatch the back of the cart. A hinged wooden panel drops down, and with a great, thick gush, the contents begin to pour into the river. The sound is a horrifying, liquid roar, a torrent of sludge that hits the water with a sound that is both a splash and a thud. The stench, briefly contained, is released in a final, climactic wave, a great sigh of foulness that seems to make the very air recoil. In the moonlight, you can see the dark, thick plume of waste as it is caught by the current. It doesn't instantly vanish. It holds together for a moment, a coherent island of filth, before the river's motion begins to tear at its edges, pulling it apart, stretching it into long, dark streamers that are carried away into the night. You watch it go. This is the end of the line. The journey that began in the Lord's gut, that travelled through the stone channels of a garderobe, that sat in the darkness of a cesspit and sloshed in your cart, now continues on the river's current. You have not destroyed the waste, you have merely relocated it. You have passed the buck to the river, trusting in its ceaseless motion to solve the problem. You know that fishermen downstream will curse the foulness in the water that sickens their catch. You know that the women who come to the banks to do their laundry will have to be careful to choose a spot upstream of their own town's outflow. This is a system of localized solutions that creates a much larger, unseen problem. The river, that symbol of natural purity, is in fact a conveyor belt of human filth, connecting each settlement in a shared, unspoken network of waste. The pristine wilderness is a myth. The reality is that humanity's footprint is everywhere, and it flows, stinking and unseen, right through the heart of their romanticized natural world. You wash your shovel and buckets in the now fouled water, a final, ironic act of cleaning, before beginning the long, slow journey back to an empty cart and another night's work. Your work for the night is finally done. The town cesspit is emptier, the river is fuller, and your cart is, for now, a hollow, echoing box. You trudge home as the first hint of grey dawn softens the eastern sky. The birds are beginning to sing, a cheerful, oblivious chorus that feels worlds away from the foulness of your labours. You reach your small, isolated cottage, and the final, inescapable aspect of your job awaits, your own body. The glamorous illusion of the medieval knight or nobleman involves his attire. Think of the tapestries and illuminated manuscripts. They depict men in sumptuous velvets, in silks dyed the colour of jewels, in fine woolens trimmed with expensive fur. Their clothes are a statement of power and wealth. A knight dons his armour, a gleaming carapace of polished steel, ready for honourable battle. When he returns, he sheds the armour and slips into clean, soft linen, his status reaffirmed by the quality of the fabric against his skin. His clothing is a costume that confirms his place in the world. The shocking reality is that your clothing is not a costume you can simply take off. It has become a part of your trade, a vessel that has absorbed the very essence of your work. You stand now in your doorway, hesitant to enter and pollute the small sanctuary of your home. You begin the ritual of disrobing, and it is less like removing clothes and more like peeling off a second, filth-encrusted skin. Your boots are the first to go. They are heavy, stiff leather, caked with a hardened layer of indescribable grime. They are not merely dirty, they are fundamentally transformed. No amount of scraping or washing will ever make them just leather boots again. They carry the memory of every pit and every muddy lane you have ever walked. Next comes the tunic. It is made of boiled leather, a material chosen not for its beauty, but for its durability and its relative impermeability. Relative is the key word. Over months and years of work, the leather has become saturated. The stench is not on the surface, it is in the leather. It has bonded with the oils and fibres, creating a new, unique material that is part leather, part perpetual filth. As you pull it over your head, the smell is intense, a concentrated dose of your entire night's work. It is the smell of your profession, the scent that defines you. You cannot hang this tunic next to your other clothes. It has its own hook, far from anything else, where it can continue to radiate its foul perfume in solitude. Beneath the leather, you wear a simple woolen shirt and breeches. These are supposed to be the buffer between you and your work, but they have failed in their duty. They are damp not just with sweat, but with the insidious moisture of the pit that seems to seep through everything. They are stained with splashes and smears, each one a small story of the night's hazards. The fabric is rough against your skin, and it too carries the odor, albeit a fainter, more intimate version, mingled with the smell of your own exhausted body. The why of this is simple, brutal practicality. You cannot afford to destroy a new set of clothes every night. Fine fabrics like silk or even soft wool would be ruined in an instant, dissolved by the acidic nature of the waste. The heavy, foul-smelling gear you wear is a form of long-term investment, a uniform born of necessity. It is built to be abused, to be saturated, to be disgusting, because the job is all of those things. It is a physical manifestation of your acceptance of your role. To put on these clothes at the start of the night is to put on the identity of the Gong farmer. Finally, you are stripped down to your skin. But even now, the job is not done with you. You stand over a wooden basin of cold water, the closest thing you have to a bath. As you wash, you can see a faint, dark tide in the water. The smell lingers on your skin, in your hair, under your nails. It takes ferocious scrubbing with harsh lye soap to remove the worst of it, and even then, you know it's still there. A phantom scent, a ghost of the pit that will follow you into your sleep. Your skin may be clean, but your identity is not. You remember the perfumed gloves of the lady of the castle, a delicate barrier to protect her from the world. Your clothes are the opposite. They are a membrane that soaks the foulest parts of the world into you. While the nobleman's clothes announce his separation from the grime of life, yours are a testament to your total immersion in it. You are finally clean, or as clean as you can ever be. The sun is now properly up, casting long shadows across your small yard. Before you seek the refuge of your straw mattress, there is one last task. It's a secret ritual, performed away from the eyes of your partner, away from the prying world. You retrieve the dirtiest of your work rags and the small bucket you use for your personal washing. You head not to the river, but to the small, muddy ditch that runs behind your property. Here, you perform the final, and strangest, part of your job. The glamorous illusion of the medieval world, especially concerning its nobility, is one of careless wealth. Lords and ladies are depicted as dropping coins without a thought, losing priceless jewels during a hunt, or tossing a purse to a beggar as a grand gesture. Their riches are so vast as to be abstract, their possessions so numerous that the loss of one or two items is of no consequence. They live in a world of casual, magnificent abundance, where a dropped ring is simply a matter for a sigh, not a frantic search. The shocking reality, which you are about to sift through with your bare hands, is that these lost items are not gone forever. They simply join the great, slow-moving river of filth that you manage. And sometimes, just sometimes, that river yields up its treasures. This is the secret, grotesque bonus of your profession. While sifting through the dregs of the castle privies and the town cesspit, your experienced hands occasionally feel something that is not soft, not yielding. Something hard, metallic, or smooth. In the heat of the moment, you can't stop to examine it. You simply tuck it away, a small, hard secret amidst the sludge, into a hidden pocket in your tunic. And now, In the quiet of the morning, you pan for your foul gold. You empty the contents of that secret pocket into your wash bucket, pouring water over the collection. You swirl it gently, washing away the clinging grime. It is a grotesque parody of a gold prospector, seeking fortune not in a clean mountain stream, but in a bucket of recycled filth. The why of this is the purest form of opportunism. You are in a unique position. You are the sole curator of the kingdom's underworld. You see what no one else sees, and you understand that gravity is impartial. It pulls a nobleman's gold ring just as surely as it pulls his excrement. To not take advantage of this would be foolish. It is a secret, untaxed supplement to your already decent wage. Today's haul is modest, but not without interest. A small, silver button, its face tarnished black, from a rich man's doublet. It will clean up nicely. 2 copper coins, their green patina thick, but their value still intact. And then, something better. As the last of the muck washes away, a small object glints in the morning sun. It is a ring. Not a grand signet ring, but a delicate silver one, set with a small, dark red stony garnet, perhaps. You can imagine the story behind it. A serving girl, her hands chapped and busy, using the privy in a hurry. The ring, loose on her cold finger, slipping off into the darkness below. A moment of panic, a stifled cry, and then the sad resignation that it is gone forever. But it wasn't gone forever. It was just waiting for you. You hold it up to the light. The silver is stained. The stone is dull with a film of grime, but it is undeniably a thing of value. A small piece of lost beauty recovered from the ugliest place imaginable. This is the ultimate contrast of your job. You spend your nights buried in the worst of humanity, yet you occasionally emerge with its lost treasures. You deal in filth, but you trade in silver. These found objects are your private compensation for the public disgust you endure. They are a secret link to the world that shuns you. You hold a piece of their life, their loss, in the palm of your hand. You will clean the ring carefully, perhaps boil it in water with a sprig of mint to chase away the last of its history. You won't wear it, of course. But you can sell it to a travelling merchant who asks no questions, adding a healthy sum to the coins in your leather pouch. This strange, foul treasure hunt is the final, hidden layer of your profession. It's a reminder that even in the most disgusting of tasks, there can be a glimmer of fortune. It turns your descent into the pit not just into a hazardous duty, but into a dark and secret lottery. Every scoop of the shovel holds the potential for more than just filth. And that slim, glittering possibility makes the whole stinking business just a little more bearable. Your treasures are cleaned and hidden away, a secret addition to your wealth. You finally allow yourself to think of sleep, but even as you do, your mind runs over the rules. Your work is not a chaotic, unregulated plunge into filth. It is a profession governed by a surprising, and often frustrating, amount of bureaucracy. The law, it seems, is just as concerned with the management of waste as you are, albeit for very different reasons. The glamorous illusion of the medieval world is one of rugged independence and freedom from oversight. We imagine a world with fewer rules, where a man is his own master, governed only by the broad, simple codes of his feudal lord or the church. A craftsman works when he pleases. A farmer tends his fields according to the seasons, not a government schedule. It's a romanticized vision of a less complicated time, free from the endless regulations and paperwork of modern life. The shocking reality is that your specific foul-smelling job is hemmed in by a web of curfews, ordinances, and specific legal statutes. You are not free to work whenever you wish. In fact, you are expressly forbidden from working during the day. A town ordinance, decreed by the same council of merchants whose cesspit you just emptied, is perfectly clear. The collection and transportation of night soil may only occur between the hours of 9 o'clock at night and 5 o'clock in the morning. To be caught trundling your foul cart through the streets at midday would result in a heavy fine, possibly even the confiscation of your precious cart and tools. The why behind this law has nothing to do with your convenience, and everything to do with maintaining the town's fragile illusion of pleasantness. The daytime is for commerce, for respectable folk to go about their business. The sight and, more importantly, the smell of your cart is considered a public nuisance, a blight on the good order of the town and bad for business. No one wants to be haggling for a bolt of cloth, while the air is thick with the stench of your passage. So your work is legally relegated to the hours of darkness. You are, by law, a creature of the night, your profession officially declared too disgusting for the light of day. This legal framework extends beyond simple curfews. The law dictates where you can dispose of the waste. Remember that spot on the riverbank? That wasn't chosen by you for its convenience. It was a legally designated dumping point. To dump the waste anywhere else in a field, in a different part of the river, or heavens forbid, in a back alley would be a serious offence. These laws were created after centuries of chaotic, ad hoc dumping led to predictable outbreaks of disease and unbearable stenches in the wrong places. The bureaucracy is a slow, lumbering attempt to impose order on a fundamentally chaotic problem. There are even laws regarding the construction of previes themselves. A householder in the town is legally required to build and maintain their cesspit so that it doesn't leak or overflow into their neighbour's property. If a dispute arises, and they frequently do, with one neighbour accusing another of creating a nuisance with their foul odours or seepage, it is a matter for the local court. You are sometimes called in these disputes as a reluctant expert witness. You, the humble Gong farmer, are asked to give your professional opinion on the state of a man's privy, your testimony carrying a strange, foul-smelling authority. This bureaucracy creates a strange relationship between you and the authorities. On one hand, they hold you in contempt, legally enshrining your work as something that must be hidden away in the dark. On the other hand, they are utterly reliant on you to enforce this practical side of their ordinances. They can write a law that says a pit must be emptied, but you are the only one who can actually empty it. This gives you a strange, backhanded form of civic power. You are an agent of public policy, a sanitation officer in a world that doesn't have a name for such a thing. So as you finally lay your head down to rest, the sun, now high in the sky, you are not just a labourer hiding from the light. You are a law-abiding citizen, whose very work schedule is dictated by the town charter. It's a final, bitter irony. The society that shuns you for your smell also meticulously legislates the details of your work, proving how deeply and how desperately they depend on it. They have wrapped your disgusting, essential service in a layer of official rules, as if the ink and parchment could somehow contain the stench. As you drift into a fitful, daylight sleep, your dreams are often a jumble of the night's experiences. You dream of the garrison's course, refuse, the town's democratic mire. For tonight, your thoughts snag on a task you completed earlier in the week, one that stands apart in its specific, delicate horror, the clearing of the garderobe that serves the private chambers of the lady of the castle and her handmaidens. The glamorous illusion surrounding the medieval noblewoman is perhaps the most powerful of all. She is presented in poetry and song as an ethereal being, almost angelic. She is all grace and purity, her skin as white as milk, her breath as sweet as May blossoms. She floats through the castle in a cloud of perfume and silk, her voice a gentle melody, her emotions noble and refined. In this idealized vision, she is a creature of air and light, untouched by the base, earthy realities of the human body. She is beauty, she is virtue, she is fundamentally, impossibly clean. The shocking reality, as you know better than anyone, is that this ethereal being is as human as the burliest soldier in the barracks. The waste that descends from her private, perfumed chamber into the cold, dark shaft below is, biologically, no different from anyone else's. But the context makes it a uniquely unsettling substance to handle. When you clear the pile at the base of her garderobe chute, you are not just clearing waste, you are dismantling, shovel by shovel, one of society's most carefully constructed myths. The stench here is different. It's mingled with the ghost of the expensive perfumes you know she uses. You can sometimes catch the faint, spectral scent of rosewater or lavender amidst the fundamental odour. It's a grotesque potpourri, a disconcerting blend of the lovely and the profane that is somehow more disturbing than the honest, straightforward stench of the barracks. You also find things here you find nowhere else. Small, discarded scraps of silk or fine linen, used for personal hygiene and carelessly tossed into the abyss. Sometimes, you find telltale cotton or wool rags, stained with the rust brown of menstrual blood, a stark, biological truth that the poets conveniently ignore. This is the why of the intense cultural construction of female purity. In a world that so deeply fears the body's processes and ties decay to sin and corruption, the female body, with its overt cycles of bleeding and childbirth, is a source of profound anxiety. The idealization of the noblewoman is a desperate attempt to counteract this anxiety, to elevate her above her own biology, to pretend she is immune to the very processes that define her. She must be presented as pure, passionless, and pristine because the alternative is too threatening to the social and religious order. She is a symbol, and symbols cannot be seen to have messy, biological functions. Your work is a direct, physical contradiction to this entire symbolic enterprise. You are the sole witness to the evidence that shatters the illusion. When the lady of the castle glides past you in a corridor, her face a mask of serene indifference, her perfume a shield against the world's stench and your own, you share a secret. She does not know that you know. She does not know that just hours ago you were at the terminus of her most private bodily functions, dealing with the raw, physical reality she is so desperate to transcend. There is a strange intimacy in this. You know something more true about her than the poet who writes sonnets to her eyes or the knight who wears her favour in a joust. They are in love with the illusion. You are acquainted with the reality. You once found a single, long strand of blonde hair caught in the muck, the exact shade as the lady's own. It was a moment of profound and disturbing connection. You, the lowest of the low, had held a piece of her that was inextricably linked to the part of her existence that must always be denied. Handling the waste from her chambers feels more transgressive than any other part of your job. It feels like you are violating a sanctuary, even though you are standing at the bottom of a stone chute in the cold night air. You are the keeper of a truth so potent it could undermine the very foundations of chivalry and courtly love. You know that the object of all that adoration, the symbol of all that is pure and untouchable, is, in the end, made of the same mortal, messy stuff as everyone else. And you carry that knowledge with you, another heavy, invisible burden of your trade. You wake with a start, the afternoon sun slanting hot through your single window. It wasn't a nightmare that woke you, but a sound from the town, the slow, rhythmic tolling of the church bell, a sound reserved for a death. A few moments later, you hear a commotion, the frantic clatter of horses' hooves in the main street. Your mind immediately goes back to the pit in the marketplace, to that sharp, watery smell you noticed in the sludge. You knew it. You smelled it coming. The glamorous illusion of medieval medicine is embodied by the physician. He is a man of great learning, dressed in academic robes, his fingers stained with ink from studying the ancient texts of Galen and Hippocrates. He speaks in Latin, diagnosing illnesses based on the complex theory of the four humours: blood, phlegm, yellow bile and black bile. He believes that sickness is caused by an imbalance of these fluids. His cures are elegant and theoretical, bloodletting to reduce an excess of blood, prescribing certain foods to increase a deficient humour, composing complex herbal remedies based on astrological charts. He is a man of science, as it is understood, a figure of intellectual authority who battles disease with logic and ancient wisdom. The shocking reality, which you understand with a certainty that comes from your nose, not a book, is that this entire system is a complicated fiction. While the physician is busy consulting his charts and debating the humoral qualities of parsley, the real story of the town's health is being written in the cesspits. You are the town's unwitting, unacknowledged epidemiologist. The bloody flux dysentery has come to town. You didn't need a church bell to tell you. You smelled its arrival 3 nights ago in the collective waste of the community. This is the why of your foul prophecy. You have a day tacit that the physician can only dream of. He sees patients one by one, after they are already sick, their bodies already in crisis. You, on the other hand, have a daily, aggregate sample of the entire population's health. You are the first line of detection for any widespread illness, particularly the digestive ailments that tear through medieval towns with such devastating speed. You can smell the subtle shift from health to sickness on a mass scale. You know the normal smell of the town's pit, its baseline odour. Any deviation is information. That sharp, bloody, watery tang of dysentery is unmistakable. A sweeter, almost cloying smell can herald the onset of other fevers. You have no knowledge of bacteria, of Shigella or Vibrio cholerae. You cannot name the invisible agents of death, but your senses, honed by years of immersion in the raw data, can identify their effects with terrifying accuracy. You have learned to correlate a change in the smell of a pit with a later ringing of the funeral bells. It is a grim, prophetic gift you never asked for. Of course, you can never speak of this. Who would listen? If you were to go to the learned physician and say, "Master, I believe a sickness is coming, the town pit smells unwell," you would be laughed out of his study. He would see you as an ignorant, superstitious labourer, a man whose mind has been addled by the foul damps of his trade. Your knowledge is of the wrong kind. It is practical, sensory and visceral, while his is theoretical, textual and respected. He deals in the noble map of the human body as described by the ancients who deal in the foul, immediate and truthful territory of its excretions. So you keep your peace. You watch as the physician leads a patient already weakened by dehydration, convinced he is relieving an excess of hot, moist blood. You watch as the priest leads prayers for deliverance, blaming the sickness on the sinfulness of the people. They are all looking for answers in the wrong places and books, in the stars, in the realm of morality. They never think to look in the pit. They pay you to take the evidence away, to hide it, to dump it in the river, never realizing they are discarding the most valuable public health information they possess. You are the town's Cassandra, cursed with a disgusting form of foresight that no one will ever believe. You are the living, breathing, foul-smelling proof that the most profound truths are often found in the most reviled places, and as the death bell continues its slow, steady toll, you feel a grim, lonely sense of validation. You knew. And you know this is only the beginning. The smell will get worse before it gets better. The tolling of the death bell fades as this day wears on, replaced by the familiar sounds of town life, a little more subdued, a little more fearful than before. You have done your work, and you will do it again tonight, and the night after that. You are a fixture, a constant, as reliable as the rising and setting of the sun. But as you lie there, suspended between the foulness of the night past and the night to come, you think about the future. Not your future, but the future of memory itself. How will this time, this life, be remembered? The glamorous illusion of legacy is that it is carved in stone and written in gold leaf. The lord of this castle believes his name will echo through the ages. He has commissioned songs about his valor. He is building a new wing for the chapel where his effigy will one day lie in stone, his hands clasped in prayer for all eternity. His descendants will tell stories of his greatness. His name will be recorded in the chronicles of the kingdom. His legacy is a carefully constructed monument of honor, piety, and power designed to defy the decay of time. It is a story of magnificent, clean immortality. The shocking reality is that your legacy will be just as enduring, but it will not be one of honor. It will be one of order. You will have no stone effigy, no ballad sung in your name. Your own name will be forgotten, lost like a copper coin in the mud. But your title, your role, the Gong farmer, will survive. And it will survive as a byword for filth, a historical curiosity that makes people cringe and laugh. Your legacy is the lingering smell itself. When future generations think of you, they will not think of you as a protector of public health or a vital cog in the urban machine. They will think of the stench, the disgust, the sheer, unimaginable foulness of your work. You will be remembered not for what you prevented, but for what you handled. This is the final, and perhaps cruelest, paradox of your existence. You are a guardian, a shield against the pestilence that brews in the darkness. Every bucket you haul away is an act of preservation. You keep the soldiers healthy enough to defend the walls, the merchants healthy enough to drive the economy, the lord and his family healthy enough to rule. But history will not remember you as a guardian. It will remember you as the thing you guarded them from. The why of this is that history is a story, and stories need heroes and villains, not sanitation engineers. The narrative of the age is one of chivalry, faith, and glory. Your reality is a messy, inconvenient footnote that complicates that clean narrative. To acknowledge you as a hero of public health would be to acknowledge the overwhelming filth that made you necessary. It would force the storytellers to look into the pit, and the story of the glorious past cannot have a cesspit at its centre. It's far easier, far more palatable, to cast you in the role of a grotesque figure, an object of morbid fascination. Your memory will be used to highlight how primitive and disgusting the past was, a way for future people to feel good about their own clean, sanitized world. You will become a caricature of filth, your humanity stripped away, leaving only the stench. And so, you will achieve a strange and stinking immortality. The Lord's name may one day be misread in a dusty chronicle, his stone face worn smooth by time. But the idea of the Gong farmer, the man who waded through filth, will remain potent and visceral. Your legacy is not written in ink, but in the collective shudder of disgust. It is passed down not in stories of valor, but in whispers of revulsion. You are the ghost in the machine of history, the foul odor that reminds everyone that the beautiful, gleaming engine of society produces a terrifying amount of waste. You are the keeper of the secrets, the navigator of the filth, the connoisseur of smells. You are the foundation upon which their health is built, and the para upon whom their disgust is heaped. As you finally drift towards a true, deep sleep, you accept this. You will never be celebrated, but you will, in your own way, never be forgotten. The lingering smell of your trade will cling to the pages of history long after the perfume of the nobles has faded to dust. And so, our journey with the Gong farmer comes to a close. The night's work is done, and the day's troubled sleep has begun. Let the image of that medieval world begin to soften and dissolve now. Let the cold stone of the castle, the muck of the streets, and the profound, pervasive stench just fade away, drifting back into the past where they belong. Feel the story release its hold on you, leaving behind only a quiet stillness. You are no longer there, walking in those heavy, foul-smelling boots. You are here, safe in your own time, in your own comfortable space. Become aware of the gentle weight of your own blanket, the softness of the pillow beneath your head. The air you are breathing is clean and fresh, a simple, modern luxury that our friend, the Gong farmer, could never have imagined. There are no threatening pits beneath your floor, no miasmas to fear in the quiet, peaceful dark of your room. The story was just a story, a brief visit to a world that is, thankfully, long gone. All that remains now is rest. Let the last echoes of the narrative melt away like mist in the morning sun, leaving your mind clear, quiet, and ready for deep, untroubled sleep. Let your breathing slow and your thoughts become heavy and soft, drifting away into a peaceful, comfortable silence. Your only task now is to let go and allow yourself to sink into a deep and truly restorative rest. Sweet dreams.